So Fernando Mendoza from Cal has been very interesting. You know, the last time I saw Fernando Mendoza, it's when they had the big Cal had the big comeback, and he said, "We did it for the boys. I love Cal." And then all of a sudden, now he's in the transfer portal and go to Notre Dame.
Indiana.
Indiana, sorry. We just got done talking about Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But your thoughts on Fernando Mendoza, who I thought showed some really good play this year for Cal.
He's a really underrated player that was in the portal. And there's a reason why I think a lot of casuals don't realize this, that weren't tracking things. Most sites had him as second, third ranked quarterback in the portal. There weren't a ton of great options this year. He's a tremendous athlete. He's got a pretty good arm. For what he was working with at Cal, to have the offensive production that they did, to play the way that they did against Miami, he's a tremendous player. I think the best angle here to look at this, they needed to figure out a bounce back and who to move, not bounce back, but who is going to be next after Curtis Rourke. I look at the success that Curtis Rourke had at Indiana, and I see a lot of trait similarities for what Fernando Mendoza can produce this upcoming year. They also got a really underrated addition of Roman Hemby, who is a dynamic receiver coming from Maryland, receiving back coming from Maryland, who's going to be worked into the fold. We saw how Indiana used their running backs. He's a better athlete than Ellison and Lawton. He could be really productive this upcoming year. When we talked about Indiana, there are comparisons that could be made to what TCU did 2 years ago. TCU 2 years ago, after their run, they underwhelmed a bit in recruiting. They didn't go into the portal and bring in any big bodies over the past couple of seasons, any big names that really sparked things. The fact that they're already doing this, getting two premier Power 4 guys and not just plucking from the G5, I think this is a positive sign. I won't give a sweeping, crazy take to say that Indiana is going to replicate what they did this year. There's going to be probably a tougher schedule. They're not going to go to the Big Ten championship game. But for them to be a consistent 9-win, floor of 8-win team in the Big Ten is accomplishable when they're able to do this kind of a move in portal recruiting. Mendoza is going to be a really good player, and it wouldn't stun me if he's not one of the better ones in the country next year.
All right. So Fernando Mendoza is an interesting case because here's the thing. He solves two problems. Here's the problems he solves. Number one, he's got 2 years, right? So he can be there at Indiana for 2 years. So even if you do slip a little bit in a situation, he's shown growth. And let me explain it like this. The big thing that I look at young quarterbacks is one big key statistic. Number one, did your completion percentage go up? And then number two, did you start eliminating turnovers? Okay. Going into year 2 at Cal, okay, he had around 5.7% better completion percentage. So what does that mean? Okay, it doesn't seem like a lot, but Joe, that's an extra 17, 18. No, my math's off. That's another 55 completions. Like that's insanity. Number two, he had 10 interceptions as a freshman. He cut it down to 6. And that's the thing is the more snaps this kid got, the better he got, clearly. I think Fernando Mendoza is somebody that Indiana could fit into their system based on what we saw off of Cal. He may have some better weapons. He'll definitely have some better coaching around him.
Yeah.
The thing with Indiana, though, for me is I think this kid can be good. I think he's better than Curtis Rourke, quite honestly. Joe, until they start getting dudes up front that can play, it doesn't matter. They can put up 45 against the Rudy Poo Techs of the world. The question is going to become for Indiana, as good as this young man is can they run the ball in crucial situations? That's what it comes down to ultimately. I think it's a big addition. I think not only is it a big addition, I think it's an upgrade to what you have.
Yes. Yeah.
So Fernando Mendoza, I think, showed that he can play. Look, man, you brought up the Miami game, and I just want to point this out. When we talked about and broke down the Miami game after Cal lost it, Frankie Mendoza or Fernando Mendoza did not lose that game for them. I'm thinking of the Sandlot with Frankie Mendoza.
It was their defense.
It was their defense. The dude was making play after play after play after play. So I think it's an upgrade. The question now becomes, how does Indiana respond around him, which will be the big key.
Last part about this, one might assume watching this kid play this year and make these big plays, oh, this is a guy that's got 1 year of eligibility left. He's a redshirt sophomore. So they're getting
No,
likely.
he's good. No, he's just a junior. He didn't redshirt.
This says
Right?
redshirt sophomore on the Cal page. So
Okay, well, he may be.
He might actually even be younger. Yeah, wait, this is
Yeah, no, he's going to be a true junior.
no. Okay, so 2022 he redshirted,
Okay,
2023
fair.
freshman year, and then this was his redshirt sophomore year.
Okay, fair.
So but regardless, he has 2 more years of eligibility left. So this isn't just like a quick plug and play. Assuming that he doesn't try to jump and go to the next job, I don't think he's going to be like fully developed to make that transition to the NFL right away. There are some people that think that this is, you know, an underrated guy in NFL circles if he does take that step forward because he's big framed kid, good runner. This is a multi-year process. I just think that as much as we've lauded Curt Cignetti, this is a really positive sign. You're not going to be Sonny Dykes, who it's a flash in the pan, and then it's a slow regression year by year. The positive sign of bringing in 2 offensive playmakers like this to get that improvement you just talked about is where the results can pan out and that they get even better. I'm really curious to see what they do in 2024, though, or 2025.
Big step for him. Again, he went from 14 to 10 to 16 and 6. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, and he's going to have better weapons in Indiana, that's for sure. All right.
BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number 1 source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.